Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, in the 7th chapter, Krishna ends, okay, Arjuna ends by asking one question. That's the connecting link to chapter 8. What is that question in the 7th chapter, last sloka? So that's how the 8th chapter starts. So what did Arjuna ask? Anyone remember?
What?
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. He asks how to do bhakti.
Okay. When specifically he mentioned some time.
The time of death, Mataji.
At the time of death.
Antakale.
So, Antakale. So at the time of death. So he's asking, there's only 28 slokas. We can finish in 2 sessions. Okay, so he's asking Antakale, yeah. How can I know you at the time of death? How can devotees know Krishna at the time of death? So that was the question he asked, right? Antakalesha mameva smaranmutva kaleva. So how to know Krishna at the end of death, or the end, because that's the real exam, right? So that's attaining the supreme. That's why this chapter is attaining the supreme. So at the end of our life, how can we attain Krishna? How do we remember Krishna at the end of the life? Life. So that's a connecting link. So first 4 slokas, Lord Krishna answers Arjuna's question, and 5 to 8, remembering Krishna at the time of death. Because Krishna says, Antakalesha mamiva smaran muktva kalevaram. And he says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajat ante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tat bhava bhavita. Whatever thought we have at the end of our life, no, that's what we attain next life. That's what it is said. So how to remember Krishna at the time of death? Unless you practice now, we can't remember Krishna at the end. So that's why we have this chanting of the holy name and hearing about Krishna and knowing more about Krishna, so that in a subconscious mind, when the real test comes, that is the time of death, those who have experienced near-death experience or out-of-body experience, some kind of a difficult situation in life where you had a second chance, like had a difficult surgery or some accident and coming out of it, they really know how it is, how difficult it is at the end of time of death to remember the Lord. But unless you practice, we won't be able to remember the Lord. We can't be Ajamila. We'll see Ajamila story in this chapter in detail. So that's how it connects. The first question now, first question is, what is Brahman? Okay, he's asking what is Brahman. So Jiva, that is indestructible, Aksharam, the living entity separated from the material body, is Brahman. And what is Adhyatma? What is Karma? So Arjuna is asking some questions. The main question he's asking is how to remember Krishna at the end of death, time of death. So what if a devotee cannot remember Krishna? He's a nice devotee, and he or she was chanting and doing all services. But the end of life, that is at the time of death, he's not able to remember Krishna. Then
Krishna will remember, Mataji.
Yeah, Krishna says, Mam anismarami, Mam smarami mat bhakta. Aham smarami mat bhakta. Krishna says, I will remember my devotees. Okay, so that doesn't mean we should not remember the Lord, but Krishna promises that. So the last sloka, 7.30, he's asking, how can you know, how can we know you even at the time of death? So that's how it links to the next chapter. And Arjuna, whilst Arjuna is asking this question, Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adi bhudam cha kim proktam adi devam kim uchyate. Arjuna is inquiring, oh my Lord, a supreme person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? What are demigods? Please explain this to me. So he's asking these questions. What is Brahman, Adhyatma, Karma, or fruitive activities, material manifestation? Who's demigods? Now all these questions are asked by Arjuna. So Krishna is, so first 2 slokas is about the questions. Adiyatya kadam ko atra dehe asmin madhusudana prayana kale chakatam jnyo asinityatmabhi. So who's the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in our body, O Madhusudana, and how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So this is specifically he's asking, How can we know you at the time of death? So why is Krishna addressed as Purushottama in the first sloka?
Because he's Mataji, can everyone unmute or have you muted them? Sorry.
No. They're all unmute. We can unmute. Yes. So why is Krishna
Supreme
addressed as
person,
Purushottama?
Mataji.
He's the supreme person, but why a Purushottama in this particular sloka?
Because he is
He is
the
the
only one who
supreme
can
authority.
give the answers.
Yes. So he is the supreme authority, right? Krishna is the supreme authority and he can give definitive answer. So Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Purushottama, which means he was putting this question not to just simply to a friend, but to the supreme person who knows everything, right? Bhavishyani cha bhutani. He knows our past, present, future, everything. So that's why he's called as Purushottama. And others can answer, like, why is Krishna called Madhusudana?
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Please, others, those who don't want to answer, please don't make any background noise. Yes, who was answering? Ekta Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pancham Mataji. Yes, Mataji. So, Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu Mataji.
Yes.
That's why it's called Madhusudan.
Okay, so
Mataji,
that's why he's called Madhusudan. But why Madhusudan in this particular sloka?
Because, Arjun basically wants him to kill his demonic thoughts, Mataji.
Yeah, demonic
That's why-
questions. So these doubts are
He will
considered
be killing
demons. Okay. So yes, Balaji Prabhu also says yes. So Krishna has killed the Madhu demon and it's called Madhusudana. And Arjuna, these doubts are considered to be demons. So Arjuna wants Krishna to kill the demon like doubts, right? So Arjuna addressed Krishna as Madhusudana because Krishna once killed the demon Madhu. And these questions or doubts which has arisen in Arjuna's heart is actually like demons. So Krishna is expert in killing the demons. So Arjuna is addressing him Madhusudana so that Arjuna is expecting Krishna can kill the demonic doubts that have arisen in Arjuna's mind. So these are the two words used, Purushottama and Madhusudana. So we should know why it is used in this particular sloka. So in the third sloka, third and fourth, Krishna answers to Arjuna's question. Sri Bhagavan Vaja Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatma Muchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhava Ksharo Karo Visarga Karma Samhita. The Supreme Personality Godhead said the indestructible trance in the living entity is called Brahman. So Brahman is nothing but refers to the living entity. And Parabrahman is Krishna. Is there any sloka where Krishna was addressed as Parabrahman? Anyone remember the sloka?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Parabrahma, Paramdhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan.
Yes.
Ajot.
Purisham,
Second one.
Purisham,
Purusham Shashvatam. Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum.
You remember the sloka number?
No, Mataji.
10th chapter, 12th sloka. This is after the Chatusloki, okay? After Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabho Matta Sarvam Pravartade, then Matchitta Matgata Pranabodhe, and that's Parasparam 10.8, 10.9, 10.10, and 11, the Chatusloki Gita. After that, like Krishna revealed who he is, and before showing the Vishwarupa, and Arjuna accepts by saying that Param Brahma, Param Dhamam, Pavitram, Paramam. Krishna, you are Param Brahman, you are Pavitram, you are pure, you are the Adidevan, the original Supreme Lord. So, in that sloka, so it's called Parabrahman. Krishna is Parabrahman. Brahman is us, the living entity. Aham Brahmasmi, we say. So Brahman is the living entity, but the Parabrahman is the Supreme Personality Godhead, Krishna. Both are not the same, although the word Brahman is also sometimes used to refer to the Supreme Lord, but he is Param Brahman actually, okay? So Jiva is indestructible in the sense the body is destructible, but the soul cannot be destroyed, which is that sloka which says the soul cannot be destroyed by water, wind, fire.
Nainam Chinnanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha.
Yeah.
Na
Shoshayadi Maruta. Very good, Puja Manan. So this is a sloka which says, now you're all Bhakti Shastri graduates are going to be like, so you should know the slokas in your fingertips. So the Jiva is indestructible. Yes, it cannot be destroyed by any weapon or by fire or withered by wind or air, whatever. And transcendental living entity is Chidananda Rupa, Sachidananda, separated from the material body. The Supreme Brahman is, the Para Brahman is the Lord, the Supreme Lord. Okay, it's Para Brahman. We are the Jivatma. So, yeah. And he's asking what is Adhyatma, the Subhava, the eternal nature, the impressions that accompany the Jiva and govern the body is Adhyatma. And what is Karma? Fruitive activities, right? We have seen all Karma Kanta, all the in the first 6 slokas there was about Karma Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. And the fruitive activities of the Jiva that lead to transmigration from one body to another. That is Karma. This is Karma Kanta, okay? Just Punya and Papa reactions coming. And it is a very creation of the material body by the forces of material consciousness. So, Adi Bhutam Sharo Bhava Purushashchati Devatam Adi Yajno Aham Evatra Dehe Deha Pratam Vara. The best of the embodied being the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adi Bhuta. And the universal form of the Lord, which includes the demigods, like those of sun and moon, is Adi Deva. And he, the Supreme Lord, represents the super soul in everyone's heart. Every embodied being is called Apiyatnya, the Lord of Sacrifice. So Krishna is in the heart as Paramatma, right? Krishna says in so many places, some of Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesharchana Tashtadi Sarvas Chaham Hridi Sanivisham. So he's in a heart. Now he is in a heart as Paramatma. In which form? Which form is the Paramatma?
Shirodakashai.
The Shirodakshai Vishnu. So that is 400 form. Now what's the size of Paramatma?
8 inches, Mataji.
8 inches.
8 inch or
Finger.
the size of
Thumb.
distance.
Size of thumb finger.
Come to the ring finger, Mataji.
Thumb and the ring finger. The size of the thumb, where did Krishna become the size of the thumb?
In
By
Parikshit
entering
Uttara's womb.
when he entered the
Uttara's
womb. So when he was entering into Uttara's womb to save Parikshit Maharaj from the Brahmastra sent by Ashwathama, the son of Dronacharya, that time he became the thumb size. But the Paramatma is actually the distance between the ring finger and the thumb. So that's what the mention is, the 8 inches. So that's Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So it is said that the Lord is in the heart as Paramatma, and that the Supreme Lord is the super soul. That's called Apiyatnya. Okay, so he's asking what is Adi Buddha, Adi Deva, and Adi Yajna. So Adi Buddha is the Prakriti, the constant changing Prakriti, the physical world, a material body consisting of material elements. Adi Deva is the Virat Purusha, the universal form, okay, which includes the demigods. And Adi Yajna is the Paramatma, Krishna being the enjoyer of all sacrifice, Bhoktara, Mitzvah. So Adi Yajna, the Supreme Lord, as super soul in our heart. And he's asking how is Adi Yajna known in the body? In every heart, right? In the heart of every embodied being, Krishna is there. And as a regulator, he inspires performance of sacrifice and other acts. And how to know Krishna at the point of death? Prayana Kale, he's asking the last question. Like, how do we know you at the time of death? So Krishna answers all the other questions like in one word. But this question, he highlights, and the whole chapter he discusses because it's a very important question. So this is the main subject of the rest of the chapter, like how to know Krishna at the end of death. So it's called Ante Narayana Smriti. So once there was a person, I think it was in Guruvayur temple in Kerala, near Thrissur. So there are so many shops around the temple. If you go, you can see kids go there just to get toys, with so much of toys and so many shops. And so the middle is the temple, and all the 4 sides there are different shops. So this person was also running a shop, but the sad point is he was an atheist and he never entered inside the temple. He just went there for a business. So he was just doing his business, and after a few years, somebody wanted the flower garlands to be given inside the temple. No, they give money and they like, we don't have time, you give it on our behalf, you go and give it to the temple. So it's his job, he had to go to the temple. So he took the garland, he went inside the temple, and by mistake, he saw the Lord's deity. When he saw the beautiful form of the Lord, his eyes got so attracted to the Lord that every day he started going to the temple. And he works there only, So he started going to the temple every day. And whenever he goes, he pays obeisances, like not like us, pay obeisance and get up in a moment. He pays obeisance for half an hour, and be 45 minutes, he pay obeisances. So everybody's like, what is he praying so much? So his prayer was, so somebody asked, what are you praying? Half an hour paying obeisances, what do you pray? So he's like, no, I have only one prayer, Ante Narayana Smriti, that I want to remember Krishna at the end of my death. That was his, and everybody's like, people go for moksha, people go for money, artha, arthi, jnani, jityasu, people go for so many things, material desires, and this also moksha. He doesn't even want that. He wants to remember Krishna at the time of death. Remembering Krishna means, yes, moksha, going back. But the point is different. Like moksha can be even Sayuja Mukti, going to the Brahmajyoti. But this is real devotional service. So one day, as usual, he went and he paid obeisances, and he was not getting up for 1 hour. Normally, he gets up at half an hour and go away to his shop. But it was like more than 1 hour. So people, and you know how Prabhu's pay obeisance, dandavats, no, complete flat. So everybody got, the pujaris are like, what? They wake him up like, what, is he sleeping or what? So when they tried to wake him up, the body had already set into rigor mortis, like it was stiff and cold. So we have already left the body in front of the Lord, maybe not inside the temple, but outside. And then paying obeisances to the Lord. And Krishna made his desire possible by Ante Narayana Smriti. Definitely paying obeisance, you'll remember the Lord. And so this is a real thing happened where he had the desire to remember Krishna at the end. So that was his only desire. And he was an atheist, and suddenly seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, he didn't ask for anything. So you can say it kind of a pure devotion service, might be because he was a devotee from previous life, and might be some karma. He didn't surrender completely. But then, yes, so by some mercy of Vaishnavas, and might be his guru in previous life, he was able to attain the highest platform. Okay, so 8.1 to 4, the other important point in the text is Krishna called as Purushottama because Krishna is the supreme person, not by a friend. He's the supreme authority to give definitive answer. And he's also addressed as Madhusudana because Krishna killed the demons of doubts, wanted to kill the demons of doubts that has, I expect, erased in the mind of Arjuna. Prayana Kala means at the time of death. So crucial time, right? When whatever we do throughout our life will be tested and indicate Arjuna's anxiety to know the position of Krishna conscious devotee at the time of death. So Prabhupada quotes Kulashekara Alva's prayers from Mukunda Mala saying, Krishna Tvadiya Padapangaja Pancharatram Advaitame Vishuddhumanasa Rajahamsam Prana Prayana Samet Apapada Pitto Kando Varoda Vido Smaranam Kutaste. Kulashekara Alvar was a great devotee of the Lord. And in his Mukundamala Stotra in the book, he writes that at the time of death, Kapha, Vayu, and Pitta will come and choke my throat. I can't chant your holy name, Krishna. So please take me away now itself. Now I'm healthy. So he's saying that, let me, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how is it possible to chant your holy name? So you take me now itself. And Prabhupada used to most of the time chant this sloka. And he said, this is even his desire. So the material consciousness and spiritual consciousness is that material consciousness, they try to load it over material things. There is little karma and different bodies are formed. The spiritual consciousness is to serve the Supreme. So living entity is the margin entity or Tadastha Shakti. Because the living entity sometimes identify with matter, he is called as the Tadastha. And sometimes he identifies with the Supreme Nature. So we have a minute independence, either to go this side or that side. And what happens when the living entity identifies with matter? We take birth again and again, 84 lakh species, and there is transmigration because of karma. And we even goes to heavenly planets and perform yajna. Okay. So there are 5 offerings to be done. It is said in 5 kind of offerings that is made into the fire. That is, the 5 kinds of fire are conceived for heavenly planets, clouds, earth, man, women, and the 5 kind of sacrificial offering as faith, enjoy, and the moon, rain, grains, and semen. So in the process of sacrifice, the living entity makes specific sacrifice to attain specific heavenly planets and consequently reach them. When the merit of sacrifice is exhausted, he come back, right? Shine Punye Martilagam. I'll explain this part clearly. Okay, so Krishna is called Achyuta. So yeah, so quickly before going into the chapter 8, we need to see the connection between Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 and 8. Okay, quick breakout room. Not only the last sloka, just find out other slokas which connects you from chapter 7 to chapter 8. Okay, we'll discuss this and go forward to chapter 8.
Chapter 8 is all about how do you reach that higher state of consciousness. How do you reach, how do you...
Hare Krishna. So, from room number 1, who's speaking? Hare Krishna, from room number 1. You need to note down your room number when you come back. There's Mamta Madhi, Nandita Madhi, Pooja Madhi, Saurabh Prabhu, Sharade Madhi, Snikta Mataji, Shravani Mataji, and Vijay Prabhu. Yes, who's speaking? Nobody? Let's go to room number 2. So room number 2, we have
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Aryan Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So the first point is the nature of the divine. In chapter 7, Krishna introduced the nature of the divine, explaining the material and the spiritual aspects of his existence. And in chapter 8, explain on the idea of the imperishable Brahman, the eternal aspect of the divine. And the second point is path of liberation. In chapter 7, Krishna emphasized the importance of the devotion and knowledge in attaining liberation. But in chapter 8, Krishna provides a more detailed explanation of how one can achieve liberation through the process of dying with the consciousness of the divine. And in the third point, maybe the understanding life and death. Krishna introduced the cyclic nature of life and death in chapter 7, introducing that understanding the true nature of the self and divine. But in chapter 8, Krishna gives the deeper idea into the concept of life, death, rebirth. And in the practical guidance also, the chapter 7 provides practical guidance on how to cultivate knowledge and devotion through meditation, discipline. In chapter 8, Krishna continues this guidance by explaining specific practices and state of mind that can help one maintain a focus on the divine, even particularly at the moment of death. So these are the 4 points, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, very nice. Prabhu. Okay, so room number 3. Anybody from room
Hare
number
Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Pranam. Mataji, chapter 7. Chapter 7 is named as knowledge of the absolute, and chapter 8 is attaining the supreme. So in chapter 7, the knowledge of the absolute, a comparison is made, a clear distinction is made between the demigods, devatas, and the supreme personality of Godhead, and the material energies and the marginal energies, how Krishna is beyond all these energies. So we actually have the knowledge of the absolute truth, or Krishna is giving us the knowledge in chapter 7. In chapter 8, the process of attaining the supreme, the actual processes are mentioned in chapter 8. Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I just wanted to add one more point, Mataji, in room number 3.
Yeah.
Here in 7.29 and 7.30, while closing the 7th chapter, Krishna has used some terminology, Brahman, Adi Atma, Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna and all. So for all this, Arjuna is seeking more clarity in chapter 8. What are all these terms about? He wanted to have more clarification on these terms, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. How come room number 1 nobody came up?
Hare
Always
Krishna Mata.
silent?
Yes,
Yeah,
Hare
Mamta.
Krishna Mata. Yes, and sorry, Mataji, we couldn't speak earlier. Yes, in the room, in the chapter 7, Krishna tells us who are demigods, like what to pray, and when we pray, when we are praying, and whatever when we are praying the demigods, whatever desires that we want, they give it to us. But Krishna only gives us what we need. And in chapter 8 say that Krishna takes care of every single thing who's a devotee of the Lord. It doesn't matter materially, whatever, like at the time of death here, if you don't remember, he comes to you. So he take over every aspect if you are a devotee, if you pray to him. And he tells us everything in chapter 7, he tells everything comes from him. So, and in chapter 8 tells he's the like Paramatma. He gives us detailed explanation, like Mataji earlier told in room number 2. And we were trying to link the shloka, that's why. Which shloka goes with it, that's why we couldn't speak earlier.
Yeah, that's okay. Like sometimes we're not able to give references like that. That's okay. But at least, okay, now you got to know the connection between chapter 7 and 8. Okay. So we'll continue. Yeah. So here it is said like how do living entity take birth? Okay. So what happens is when we are done a lot of punya, you go to heavenly planets. And when your punya is over, kshine punya matte you come back. How do we come is the living entity descend in the earth in form of rain and takes a form of a grain. And the grain is eaten by the man and transferred to semen, which impregnates a woman. And thus the living entity once again attains a human form to perform sacrifice and so repeat the same cycle. In this way, the living entity perpetually comes and goes to the material path. And a Krishna conscious person, however, avoids such sacrifice and he takes directly to Krishna consciousness. And the sacrifice is Yajnanam Japa Yajnosmi, as Krishna says, chanting the holy names. Thereby prepare himself to go back to Godhead. So the sacrifices in Kali Yuga is prescribed as Kalor Sat Tat Hari Kirtanam. The sacrifice is the Hari Kirtan, which a devotee does. So 8.3 refutes the impersonal commentators who say the Brahman takes the form of the Jiva in the material world. It's the Mayavadis or impersonalists. First of all, they are Krishna aparatis. They say the Krishna doesn't have a form, he doesn't have a head, a leg, a hand, and they are aparatis. Because they are aparatis, they will not be able to chant Krishna's holy name. So there was a Mayavadi sannyasi called Prakashananda Saraswati. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he was a Mayavadi, he could chant Chaitanya because his name was Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu's name. So he could call out Chaitanya, 3 times Chaitanya, but he could not say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna even once. So somebody asked Mahaprabhu, how come he is calling Chaitanya but not able to chant Krishna? So he said he is a Mayavadi Krishna aparati, so he will not be able to chant the holy name. So to chant the holy name itself, you need some punya. As there's a joke, no, where Prabhupada says, women says to a man like chant, 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 and he says can't, because they won't be able to even chant Krishna because so much of punya. Like, is there any example where Narad Muni went to a person and made him chant, and he was not able to chant the name properly? He chanted
Valmiki Rishi. Saint Valmiki.
He was
Ratnakar.
He was Ratnakar, right? And he was not able to chant Rama, so he chanted Mara. Marna means to kill, Mara. So then he got the benefit of chanting the holy name. So to chant the holy name, so how fortunate we are that we are not so done so much punya, but still because of some Ajnana Sukritis, punya from previous life, we are able to at least chant the holy name, right? So the Mayavadis, because they're Krishna Paradis, they won't be able to understand Krishna and chant the holy name. And also, the Mayavadis, they say Krishna doesn't have form. And also they say, even if though Krishna appears in the material world, he comes in a material form. They say that the Krishna has a material form. So that is not correct. Because the living entity is eternal individual soul. We are part and parcel of the Lord, so the Lord is also eternal. The living entity is an eternal fragmental part and parcel of Krishna. Mame Vamsha Jiva Loka Jiva Buddha Sanatana. And Krishna is Para Brahman, we are just Brahman. Okay. So Krishna is referred to as Achyuta because he never falls. The Jiva may fall down. The Jiva falls down from the spiritual world. Krishna appears and disappears. He doesn't fall down like us. We are forced to come to this material world, but Krishna comes in his own sweet will. So 5 to 8 slokas are about remembering Krishna at the time of death. I think we'll complete that today. So to attain Krishna, one must remember him at the time of death. This remembrance is more than a mental trick. Okay, it is said bhava, which means mood. At death, one will automatically remember the mood he cultivated throughout the life. That's why we are chanting the holy name, so as to cultivate that mood of being dasa, dasa, and das. The most effective means to fix the mind on Krishna is Harinam Sankirtan. Okay, so 8.5 says remembering Krishna at the time of death. So how do what is the benefit of remembering Krishna at the time of death, and how do we do that? So this was the question again, as we know, the connecting link also between chapter 7 and 8. So the 5th and 6th sloka, very important sloka. I think it has to be memorized. Amtakale shama meva smaran Muktva kalevaram yaprayadi samadbhavam yadi nashchitra samshayaha. And whoever at the time of his life, end of his life, quits his body remembering Krishna alone, Mam eva smaranam. Mam eva. Krishna have used that word eva, only Krishna. And at once will attain Krishna's nature. Of this, there is no doubt. Krishna wouldn't have used that eva if he was not sure. But he's sure. He knows that just water the root of the tree. Somebody was asking a question. I don't know this last. Keep watering the root of the tree grows. But sometimes we have to water the branches also. That's what Mataji said. Like, what is the use of watering the branches? It doesn't take you anywhere. We get attached to that branch. So similarly, the demigod worship has been condemned by Krishna himself. He himself says, Mam eva, just me. Okay, Mam ekam sharanam braja, Krishna says, just Krishna. And the next sloka says, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tijat andekalaivaram tam tamevaiti kaundeya sada tat bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kumti, that state he will attain without fail. So there's a funny story, a businessman. He was very old, and he was about to quit his body. So when he was about to quit his body, almost, the last breath, he's taking the last breath. So he saw his, he's asking his wife, where is my elder son? So elder son was next to him. He's like, Papa, I'm here. Then he's like, where is your younger brother? So he said, I am here. He was also there. And where is the youngest one? He said, yeah, I'm also there. So all three sons were there. So he got so angry, and it was almost, he was taking the last breath. He said, if all three of you are here, who's at the shop? Who's taking care of the business now? And he left the body. So even at the time of death, he was thinking about his business. So Prabhupada says, if you keep so attached to your office and all material things, next life you can even become a cockroach in that office or in that shop. Now you can become like, and even your sons only will kill that cockroach, or you might get dead. Be so much attached, we may not get a human form, and we want to be in the shop forever or be in the business, become a cockroach there or lizard there. So when we see some dogs, in my neighborhood there was a dog. It's a street dog, but every night it comes to that house and guards that house. Literally sit in front of that gate and guards any robbers or anybody strangers coming. It barks and guard that house. And even if they go for some trip or something, that it's not a pet dog, it's a stray dog, but comes to that particular house and sits there and guards that house. So might be some ancestors who have so much attachment to that property, thinking this is my property, my property, my property, and died. Then what happens? Get an animal form and be attached to that property. That's what will happen. So these are all, this all proves that so much attachment to material things will make us be attached to that only. Like Krishna is a sweet father. He doesn't interfere in us minute independence. So Krishna is like, okay, you want to enjoy that? Enjoy. No? But if we have that mind thinking that Krishna, I'm not happy, I'm like a fish outside the water. I'm not happy in this material, but as long as you are in the material world, Prabhupada says, Krishna also says this, dukhale mashashvata. But when we realize, when we do Krishna consciousness, we realize this is not my place. I need to go back. That day, Krishna will capture that desire. And Krishna will, okay, now the jiva wants to come back to me. Right? So here, remembering Krishna at the time of death, this verse stresses the importance of Krishna consciousness. Whoever remember Krishna at the point of death will attain the supreme destination. The most effective means for fixing the mind on Krishna is Harinam Sankirtan. That's why when the devotees leave the body, the other devotees sit around and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. There is a kirtan going on, a Prabhupada's chanting going on, so that the mind can be fixed on Krishna. Even though it's a subconscious mind, still the Krishna consciousness means purest of pure, being of constant remembrance of the Lord who is pure. Krishna is pure, so Krishna consciousness is also pure. So Smaranam is not possible to be done for an impure soul, cannot do that Smaranam. We have to purify ourselves by practicing remembrance. If not practiced, one cannot remember Krishna at the end of our life. So how to practice remembering Krishna is live in the mode of goodness. That's why we have these 4 regulative principles that makes us go to Sattva-guna and Shuddha Sattva-guna, and life dedicated in service of Krishna, always thinking of Krishna, constant incessant chanting of the holy name. That's the best process. Yes, Smaranam. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Smaranam means remembering. So remembrance of Krishna is not possible for an impure soul who have not practiced Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness in very beginning of life. As Prahlad Maharaj says, Taumara acharat pratyo dharman bhagavata niha durlapam manusha janmam tadapi adruvam artadam. The Prahlad Maharaj says, Kaumara acharat pratyo. Start your devotional service as soon as possible. In childhood, best. So if you want to achieve success at the end of the life, we have to constantly remember Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya have advised that one be as tolerant as a tree, and there may be so many impediments for a person who's chanting Hare Krishna, but nonetheless, tolerating all the impediments, one should still continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So at the end of one's life, one can have full benefit of Krishna consciousness. So can you see any striking thing in this puppet? It's a small puppet, 8.5. But anything noticeable in 8.5?
Hare Krishna Mataji. He has written the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 2 times.
Yeah. So that means Prabhupada could have just said chant Hare Krishna. Or Prabhupada could have just written the Hare Krishna Mahamantra once. That would be sufficient. But see, he has specifically mentioned the Hare Krishna Mahamantra full mantra twice in the small puppet. So it shows how important the importance is for chanting the holy name. How much importance Prabhupada gives. So in a way, because if somebody takes the book, he doesn't want to buy a book, or he's so impious in life, might be, and want to criticize us. You know, some people study Bhagavad Gita to find fault with it, to criticize. Still, it's glorious. So if somebody takes this book and happens to read this puppet, okay, who don't even know who Krishna is, but by reading, even in the mind, they might see this Hare Krishna Mahamantra twice and they'll read it. So just by reading one puppet of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada says our life can be successful in that way. Okay, and he gives the importance of this mantra. So sometimes we say, no, HK, PAMO, PAM, HO, please accept my humble obeisances, short forms, and HK for Hare Krishna, all that. That's all not accepted by Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was there, that's not the way. And once Prabhupada's disciple, he's one of the great Maharaj now. So when Maharaj sends letters to his disciples, there'll be people who types for Maharaj. So Maharaj dictates and they type. So when they were typing, Prabhupada's like, the disciple, Maharaj was like, okay, just type, please accept my humble obeisances. So this person who's typing, he's typed PAMHO. And then Prabhupada, Maharaj is like, no, type it. So he copy pasted from another letter and pasted it. He's like, no, type it. Because he really meant it. So, so when we sometimes type like that, actually it's not accepted. Nowadays, it's all becoming short forms and shortcuts. But see, Prabhupada never wrote like shortcuts. He could have just chant Mahamantra or chant Hare Krishna. Some puppets he have written, but this puppet especially, Prabhupada have mentioned the whole Hare Krishna Mahamantra twice. Okay. So how to practice remembering Krishna? We have to tolerate all impedance. Whatever difficulties we have in life, still we have to chant the holy name. Just a few minutes back, my friend called and she's been completely blocked by her husband from all the devotional services. Like he checks her phone and deletes all the devotee contacts and not allowing her to preach and so many difficulties. So what Mataji does is getting up at 2 a.m., taking bath 2:30 to 4:30 before the husband even gets up, finish her rounds, and how secretly she's doing her devotional service. Even though so many problems, so many stumbling blocks in devotional service, still. So definitely such persons will get extra mercy from Krishna because even in difficult situations, they are trying to practice Krishna consciousness. So general law at the time of death is that one state of mind at the time of death determines the destination in the next life. So what we have to do is Prabhupada explains the best processes to chant Hare Krishna. The verse established that the transcendental absorption in Krishna's service assures the next body to be spiritual and not material. Now, once His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, our Guru Maharaj was in the ICU. He had a very bad stroke. Struggling between death and life for so many months, days he was in the ICU. But the moment he opened his eyes and then he was in consciousness, he wanted to chant his Gayatri and more than 500 rounds he had pending. So he was asking to get his clicker so that he can start chanting. So before he was asking that, he asked his disciples to teach the nurse who was taking care of him. Please teach her how to chant Hare Krishna. And there was a physiotherapist. So the physiotherapist will ask Guru Maharaj, please raise your leg and then keep up, down, up, down. So whenever the physiotherapist comes, Guru Maharaj will not do that. He'll deny to raise his leg because he says to the physiotherapist, unless you chant Hare Krishna, I will not raise my leg. So he made the physiotherapist chant Hare Krishna and then raise his leg and down. And the ophthalmologist, so many doctors and nurses got benefited just by one soul, a great soul, a pure devotee. So he says that it's his pastime to act like this, so that to give mercy. No, the hospital authorities are never going to come to ISKCON. So the devotees had to go, like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Jagai Matai to deliver them. So why I said this is how the best process is chant Hare Krishna to revive our original consciousness. Thinking anything will give the same result, that is stupidness. That is not correct. Right? We have to think about Krishna. So practice remembering during one's life, not just as death. Like Bharat Maharaj became a deer, right? You know that story, when he got so attracted to the deer. But what was the mistake which Bharat Maharaj actually did? It was not that just getting attracted to the deer made him a deer. What
he did not he did not consult his
Sharanya Mataji, Hare Krishna, she raised her hand.
Mataji, it is told that Bharat Maharaj actually meditated on the Surya Narayan form of Lord Krishna, and because of that,
Surya Narayan form of the Lord, and I can't hear you.
Because Bharat Maharaj meditated on the Narayan which is present in the sun and impersonal.
Okay, not exactly. There was a specific reason why he became a deer. Balaji
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna Mataji.
Balaji Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, he was not having an association of devotees. He went there alone.
Yes. So what happened is Bharat Maharaj, even though he was doing pure devotional service, so he got attracted to the deer and he didn't have any association of devotees. If there was association, he could have controlled his mind and thoughts and he would have not become a deer next life. But this was again Krishna's another plans because Bharat Maharaj should become Jada Bharat and then give transcendental advice to Govinda Maharaj and become his guru. So that is Krishna's another plan. So without association of devotees, it's very difficult. Like if there is a Bhakti Lata beach growing and the elephant is the Vaishnava Bharat, Hathi Mata, and what is association compared to? So hearing and chanting is watering and sunlight of the Bhakti Lata beach. Mahaprabhu compares Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Guru Krishna Kripai Pai Bhakti Lata beach. So what is association in the Bhakti Lata beach?
Manure.
No.
In the climber.
Huh?
Which holds the plant.
The support, okay, kind of support, or a fence, if you can say, the fence which you tie, protects the Bhakti Lata beach from all the other things. No, that is association. So association is very important, which Bharat Maharaj was actually lacking. So thinking of Krishna always while performing one's prescribed duties. That's why Krishna says, Mamanusmara Yuteja. Krishna told to Arjuna like that. Perform your duty at the same time you think about Krishna. Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmare yuducha mai arpita mano buddhir mame vaishya samshayaha. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of Krishna in the form of Krishna. That is the Shyam Sundar form. At the same time, carry your prescribed duty of fighting. If your activity is dedicated to Krishna and your mind and intentions fixed on Krishna, you will attain Krishna with no doubt. Asamshaya, Krishna says. Okay, so Arjuna may think remembering may be better advice than fighting, but then no, both has to be done. So throughout life, practice Krishna, remembering Krishna by dedicating mental, intellectual, and physical activities in the service of Krishna. Krishna says, think of Krishna in the form of Krishna, the Shyam Sundar form, or by chanting Hare Krishna. And physically, we have to carry out our prescribed duties. Like some people might be cooking, some might be cleaning the house, or whatever you do, you can chant Hare Krishna and or hear a kirtan or a lecture. All the mind will be completely immersed in Krishna. So mind and intentions should be fixed on Krishna and there'll be freedom from all material contamination. And it's surety, he's saying asamshayaha, you will definitely attain. And how to practice is to constantly chant Hare Krishna and continue our duties performing action devotion. Okay, I think we can stop here. Okay, any other questions? Hare Krishna, Andrina Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. Just wanted a small clarification, Mataji. In 8.5, it says it says impure soul. When we were talking in our BV, we wanted to know what exactly is an impure soul, because the soul is always pure. And in this, it says pure soul and impure soul.
No. Purity not on that. It's a consciousness which makes pure or impure. Yes, soul is always Sachidananda. It cannot be contaminated or in any way. But the soul is along with mind, intelligence, false ego, no? When it transmigrates the subtle body. So the mind can be contaminated or it can be kind of impure. Impure in the sense, impure thoughts, the consciousness. So pure soul, somebody who is thinking about the Lord, who's not having any negative thoughts, can be a pure soul.
Whoever is not in Krishna consciousness is basically considered to be an impure soul, Mataji?
No, that cannot be done, cannot be thought like that, because they might be pious, so they might be good people, as we say, do a lot of charity and all that, but pure in the sense, not having any demonic thoughts. So, but if they are not Krishna conscious, then they will not go back to the Lord, no? They'll go to heavenly planets and again take birth, might become devotees next to get a chance.
Mataji, those 4 kinds of unfortunate people who don't take to Krishna consciousness, what are they?
Yeah, Mudas, Naradamas, Maya,
Yes, Maya,
Prabhajnana. Yeah, Dushkritinas, they are also kind of impious. Why? Because impure, because they are not allowed surrendering to the Lord, no? If they are not surrendering, then they cannot be pure souls. Like they cannot be. So that's what some kind of Ajnana Sukritis are required to surrender. So Krishna says such people, they take birth, Muda, Janmani, again and again they take birth in the demonic families. But by the mercy of a Vaishnava, like if you say Srila Prabhupada, no, Prabhupada went to the least hippies and then made them who had all demonic things and who made them very pure, no? Even made them Brahmanas, qualified Brahmanas. So by the association of mercy of a Vaishnava, yes, they can be uplifted. But these, yes, for so many janmas, they might be revolving in the same mudas, in the same Naradamas or Dushkritina family. Yes, Preeta Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, how do you distinguish between free will, that is the minute independence, and how do you know when it is the divine will and it is your own making? Like, you're using your independence and you're making choices.
Yeah, so there is a desire by the soul, no? We had the triangle, the jiva desires, the super soul sanctions, and the material nature carries it out. So that basic desire, Mataji, that's called bija, the desire that the soul that's the minute independence. The first thought which comes in us. And then either by good association or by our intelligence or by our mind, we try to rethink about it. And then the minute independence is the first desire which the jiva has, Mataji. So negative desires will not come by the will of the Lord, no? It's not Krishna's will. Krishna doesn't want any negative things happening. But if it's a positive thought, yes, and it has to be sanctioned by the Lord, that's Krishna's will happening. But the jiva has the basic desire that Krishna will not interfere. Like, for example, going for Mangalarti. So we can either go for the Mangalarti or attend the Mangalarti online, or we can just skip it. But that desire jiva should have. Then only we'll be able to get up in the morning, no? Then Krishna will sanction and it happens. But Krishna will never sanction a desire which is negative, saying that don't go for Mangalarti. No, that is our free will. We are misusing that free will, no?
Okay. Thank you, Mataji, for clarifying.
Ekta Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Panchampana Mataji. Mataji, is it possible to explain once again the 5 kind of fires and 5 kind of offerings, Mataji? It's still not clear, Mataji.
Still the jnani?
Like 8.3, 5 kind of offerings into 5 kind of fire, Mataji.
Yeah, of the sacrificial altar, 5 kind of offerings are made into 5 kind of fire. 5 kind of fire are conceived as the heavenly, like kind of the sacrifices that is done. Like this is basically for yajna, those who do yajna and all. For them, there are 5 kind of sacrifice. Like they mentally they think sacrificing to the heavenly planets, clouds, earth, man, women. 5 kind of sacrificial offerings that is done. So this is basically for karma kandis, Mataji, not for us. So Prabhupada says in the process of sacrifice, they go to heavenly planets by doing all such sacrifices, but that is not needed in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, thank you.
Ravani Mataji says how to remember Krishna practically always without deviation. It is kind of not possible, Mataji, to be 24 hours into Krishna consciousness. I think only pure devotees can do. But we, because we are conditioned by Maya, sometimes it happens that we try to forget Krishna. But then what do we do is by constant associating with devotees, we can think about the Lord again and again and completely packing your day with Krishna consciousness. Like I always have a checklist in my mind saying that, okay, did I finish my rounds of 16 rounds? Yes, put a tick in mind. Then did I read something of scriptures of Prabhupada's book, Kshetra Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita today? Yes, okay. And then did I hear Srila Prabhupada's lecture today? Yes. And then did I associate with devotees? Yes. So some kind of chart in your mind where you do all these things daily. Okay. And in that way, you can slowly try to remember the Lord. And then Krishna will give the Buddhi Yoga. The Dami Buddhi Yoga. No, Krishna says he gives the intelligence to remember the Lord at the time. Okay. Hare Krishna. I think we can close here. We'll see how we see the difference in Ajamila and Bharat Maharaj, right? Ajamila being sinful throughout his life, but at the end he remembered, he chanted Narayan once, that to his son, not the original Narayan. But he got a second chance. He went to Haridwar, did devotional service. And Bharat Maharaj, on the other hand, did devotional service throughout his life. At the end, he became a deer. So don't you see some contrast for Krishna being partial here? How do you? Yes. Who knows? Miss Balaji Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, for Bharat Maharaj, although he had that attachment and then got the form of a deer, but he had retained his Krishna consciousness, and in that form he actually was not having any other disturbances also. So he was able to retain and even increase the consciousness. And for Ajamila, because he had done all the devotional service in his young age, so he was just given the second chance. And even there I heard that by saying Narayana, he was not delivered. So he had the chance to hear the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas, and both of them are devotees. So he had the association of devotees at that time, and then he grabbed his second chance and he did the devotional service in Haridwar after that.
Okay, Prabhu. Nandita Mataji, another point.
Hare Krishna Mataji Pranams. I only remembered a very simple example that you had said about why the Lord is partial or how he's partial. You said if a mother has two children, one is a little independent and doing everything by himself, he doesn't need her help too much. And the younger one is always after the mother, asking for things, wanting to play, etc. So the mother gives more attention to that kind of child who needs her help. So Krishna is the same with all of us, is what I remember your explanation, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, but in that, in this context, I'm asking, like in case of Ajamila and Bharat Maharaj, Pushti Mataji, yeah, Krishna is never partial, but in case of Ajamila and Bharat Maharaj, what is the
Hare
special
Krishna,
thing?
Hare Krishna Mataji. It was the mode of goodness. And the Krishna is never partial. I think in what kind of moodness we are operating at that particular given time.
Okay.
So Bharat Maharaj, he was in a mood of passion. But the Ajamil, he was having in our today's world, crisis. So he was a very bewildered, and then he just chanted Narayan. So I think, although he's deviated from the Krishna conscious, but he named his son Narayan. So at least then he was like trying to hang on to that Krishna conscience. But the choices he made, he know that he cannot go back. So I was thinking, is the what kind of mood you are in, like a passion, tamas gun or rajasi gun. So that's what I was thinking, Mataji.
Yes. So as Mataji said, one point is, yes, about about Ajamila, by naming the son Narayan itself, so many sins of his, so many janmas crushed. And how did Ajamila name the son Narayan? It's because there was a sadhu who actually visited Ajamila's house, and he stayed there overnight. And the next day he had to give some blessings. And Ajamila's wife was pregnant, that prostitute. She was pregnant with the last son. And the sadhu blessed that, okay, you'll have a son and name him Narayan. So that sadhu, actually it is said, Krishna himself sent that sadhu so as to deliver Ajamila, because by naming his son Narayan, and he kept on calling him, right, Narayan, come here. He was so attached to that son that indirectly he was actually calling Krishna's name. So it is said, even somebody who's been chased by a bull, and at the time of death, if you say Haram, Haram, even that Krishna just takes it as Hey Ram, Hey Ram. So that is the glory of Krishna's holy name. So holy name, anybody chanted in any way, it has a lot of purity. So that is one thing. Yes, Mamta Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji. Krishna took care of Bharat Maharaj because when he was a deer, he remembered that what mistake he made, and when he got a next birth, he still remembered. Like we forget, right? So he
Yes,
never forgot about it, right? So he took care of him too.
Yeah, but
Even
then Ajamila had in one life he could go back, right? Bharat Maharaj took 3 lives to go back to Krishna.
Yes.
Even though he could remember, still it took 3 lives. So it is said that Ajamila's past, or in the sense Ajamila, in his childhood, he was a pure devotee. He was completely 24 hours into Krishna consciousness, okay? He just had a fall down. He went to the forest to collect some flowers and wood for the sacrifice, for the worshipping of the Lord. And then he saw a Shudra embracing a prostitute and got attracted by her, and then completely got lost there. So he had a fall down, but then he was pure devotee. He was doing devotional service, and he had some kind of a fall down. So that fall down, and because of some Ajnana Sukriti of calling out Narayan, even though he meant his son, he was doing Nama Abhas. He was not doing any offense to the holy name, because he never chanted the holy name. So like Jagai and Madai, they were also chanting in Nama Abhas. So that Krishna didn't immediately take him, Some people say, no, Ajamila chanted Narayan and went back home back to Godhead. No, he got a second chance. Prabhupada have written a book called Second Chance. Right? He got a second chance. Then he used it in a right way. He went to Haridwar and chanted the holy name sincerely, like how he did it when he was in the childhood. So, and then Krishna. So Ajamila was not just a devotee, but he was a pure devotee and he had a fall down. And in 9th chapter, Krishna says, Shipram bhavadi dharmatma shashrachandi negachadi kaundeya prajjanehi name bhakta pranashati. Apiche suduracharo bachante mamani nemak sadure vasabandavya samyak vyavasido. Even though there is a fall down by a devotee, he should be still considered saintly. And Shipram, immediately, as soon as possible, he will be delivered. And because Krishna's devotees will never perish. And yes, Bharat Maharaj's life, Krishna is giving us an example, is showing us by example that how association is very, very important. We can't just leave everything, go to the forest and thinking that we can go back home back to Godhead. No, even there, Maya can attack us. Forest also is Maya's place. So we are not renouncing anything. And he had a better plan for Bharat Maharaj, like he wanted him to become Jada Bharat. That is another thing for Rahugana Maharaj, who was also Krishna's devotee. Krishna made him take 2 lives. So that is again, Krishna is showing us 2 extreme situations. Like through his devotees, Krishna teaches us. He said a mother-in-law teaches the daughter in order to teach the daughter-in-law. Like if there's a daughter-in-law in house, and the mother-in-law immediately cannot chastise her, no? Like if she's not getting up early in the morning and keeping the house clean, or if she's not cooking, the mother-in-law cannot chastise the daughter-in-law directly. So instead, what she'll do, she'll start scolding her daughter in front of daughter-in-law. Because it's her daughter, she can scold her. So she'll start scolding her daughter, saying that how late you're getting up and you're not able to do that, do this, do this. So loudly when the mother shouts at the daughter-in-law immediately learns it. Oh no, tomorrow I will also get scolding from my mother-in-law. So let me also get up early in the morning. So similarly, Krishna teaches the world through his devotees. Through his devotees, he set right examples. Like he set example through Bali Maharaj, through the Pandavas, through Kunti Maharani, through Prahlad Maharaj. So many instances where Krishna set an example through his devotees. So he's showing us through his devotee Bharat Maharaj and Ajamila that how remembering Krishna at the end of the life is very important, and how even a devotee had a fall down, still Krishna will somehow help them. Now at the end, Ajamila was saved, and to show that how even a pure devotee should be always scared of Maya and should be always protected in the association of devotee. Okay. Hare Krishna, I think we can stop here. We'll continue next class. We'll try to finish this chapter next class, and then Nanda Mataji remind me for the open book assessment of module 2. Okay,
Yes,
the first open book. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Thank you.